It's the Ferrari! Woo! This is my very first episode. This is Johannes Lacroix bringing you the first episode of Grand Prix 80th Anniversary. Silver, Germany. Red, Italy. Blue, France. Just as a... So, in this series, I will talk about European Grand Prix races that happened 80 years ago to the day. Now, last week was the 80th anniversary of the 1935 Tripoli Grand Prix on May 12th. This was the Italian race that ran on Malaha, which was the fastest road circuit in the world for the time. But this week, we celebrate the 80th anniversary of the 1935 running of a minor, yet exciting race in Italy. Bergamo Grand Prix, May 19th. This is going to be fun to look at. Bergamo is a province in Lombardy in the northern part of Italy. The capital of Bergamo had narrow streets, but it was enough for a minor Grand Prix there. This race gathered huge crowds, which was a surprise for a small race. I mean, this was the very first running of it, so they didn't expect a lot of crowds. But there were 12 racers on the grid on race day, and one of them was the Flying Mantuan, most popular Italian racer of the day, Tazio Nuvolari. This man was the fastest in practice and started on pole position ahead of his teammates. Luigi Soffietti, who was part of the Maserati team, decided for this race to have a special red and white Alfa Romeo Monza. Please ignore the Maserati logo. Now, without further ado, here is the starting lineup, or starting order of this race. Now, here's the legend. This first red car with the Ferrari logo on it indicates the Alfa Romeo, the official Alfa Romeo in Ferrari, guys. I mean, Ferrari took over the Alfa Romeo team in 1935 and was Brad. So, even though Ferrari didn't have their own cars yet, they used Alfa Romeos, the official ones too. And this is the orange Maserati, supposed to represent Maserati, and this is the private Alfa Romeo, the one without the Ferrari logo, to make sure that it is not a Alfa Romeo owned by Ferrari, by Enzo. And then, of course, there is the blue Bugatti, which will not be mentioned until the race results itself. And then, of course, we're going to show you the starting orders. Row 1, we have Tazio Nuvolari and his Ferrari Alfa Romeo, the only time that was underneath 2 minutes. And then we have Giuseppe Farina, his descendant, or no, not descendant, that would be creepy, his apprentice, if you think about it, like Star Wars. Giuseppe Farina, in his Maserati, was 3 seconds behind him. I know it might sound crazy, but 1935 margins were much bigger. Row 2 was a 3-car row. Gianfranco Camotti in the second of 3 Ferrari Alfa Romeo cars was 5 seconds behind his teammate. Kind of a surprise, but Nuvolari was the Flying Mantuan, so. And then, of course, there was Luigi Soffietti in his private Alfa. We don't have a photo of him because there isn't one on the internet. Eugenio Siena in his Maserati was 10 seconds behind, and things didn't look good for him. But his time was the exact same as Giovanni Minozzi's time, his Alfa Romeo. His was a private one, and so that was about 10 seconds underneath. Emilio Romano, about a second behind Minozzi, is in the only Bugatti the one Bugatti out of 12 cars, which was ironic because 5 years ago there were tons of Bugattis. So, yeah. And just 2/5 behind him was Cornaglia Medici. That's actually a double last name. We don't know what his first name is because it's just an initial. And the exact same time as him is the third Ferrari Alfa driver, Carlo Pintacuda, in which was 11 seconds behind. I mean, I know it sounds crazy that 3 teammates could mess up so weird. And then Piero Duccio and Giacomo Clarici had the exact same times. They both had the exact same car too, so it was pretty much an equal fight. And then, of course, in the final position is Ferdinando Barbieri in the Voiturette Maserati. I'll get to what that means soon. 14 seconds off of the pole position time. It was crazy, but At 3:30 p.m., the race began through the small streets of Bergamo. Nuvolari rocketed ahead with the lead, with Farina in second and Comotti in third, and Soffietti was in fourth. And so Siena was off to a poor start in his Maserati, and Barbieri caught up to him. As a result, it became a Maserati Voiturette duel. Don't know what Voiturette is? It is the French meaning, it is small car in French. So, yeah. The prize is this full-size Maserati. It's going to go to the long-lasting driver. Farina managed to keep up with the flying... Farina managed to keep up with the flying Mantuan. Nuvolari tried his best to shake him off by setting fastest lap after fastest lap, but Farina was still behind him by only 3 seconds. 0, 1, 2, 3. There he is. After 10 laps, the top 4 was Nuvolari and Farina just 3 seconds behind, as I told you. Gianfranco Comotti, Nuvolari's teammate, 13 seconds behind him. And Luigi Soffietti in the private Alpha, about a minute behind the official Alpha of Nuvolari. Comotti in the Ferrari Alpha was only 10 seconds behind after 10 laps, but he would lose another 3 laps due to pit stop problems, as you can see here. This is like a little makeshift pit stop area. This gave Minozzi third position, or no, Soffietti third position, and Barbieri was in fourth, and Minozzi was in fifth. So that means that the Siena-Barbieri fight was halted for a bit. And then, so after 20 laps, Nuvolari in the lead, Farina losing 13 seconds to him, I'll show you why, and Soffietti was in third, about almost 2 minutes behind Nuvolari now, and then of course Barbieri about a half a minute behind Soffietti. Nuvolari never let go of the gas pedal. Farina started to lose ground. There you can see, of course, he's in a pit stop, and Nuvolari's pulling away. Meanwhile, as you can see, Minozzi's private Alpha lost an axle. He did not have the support of a major manufacturer, so he had problems on that one. So that allowed Pintacuda in the official Alpha to catch up, to get past him and another private Alpha, Soffietti. And so he moved from 5th to 3rd. But no matter how fast Carlo Pintacuda was, he was still 2 minutes behind Farina. This is the half-point leaderboard. Nothing's changed between the top 2. Only Farina now is behind by a half a minute. 36 seconds. Pintacuda was 3 minutes behind Nuvolari, which means that Nuvolari was starting to lap the field. And Barbieri was... And there was a close fight between third place, which was Pintacuda and Barbieri. Pintacuda in such a well-oiled machine is getting a challenge from a small car. And that was weird. And the Minozzi crash allowed Siena to catch up to Barbieri. Remember the Maserati and Voiturette battle? The Maserati Voiturette battle between Eugenio Siena and Ferdinando Barbieri. It's been going on for about 30 laps now, and it's moved up to the top 5. But sadly, this battle has come to an end. Barbieri crashed into a wall, and Siena lost an engine plug. And he somehow managed to get to the Honda service station. I don't know how he got there. I don't know how he traveled from Italy to Japan in one day, but it's possible, I guess. by the lap, Nuvolari was getting further ahead. By the time it was lap 50, he was ahead by 25 seconds. But as we could see in the previous lap check, he was 36 seconds ahead, so Farina must have caught up. So there, of course, was Nuvolari in the far distance while Farina's catching up. He's not having to do a pit stop because he's not in place of any of the cars. So the 50-lap leaderboard is Nuvolari at 1 hour 42 minutes, and then 25 seconds behind him is Farina, so there's no change between the two of them. And then there's no change between the top three at all, either. Pintacuda, in Nuvolari's teammate, was 3.5 minutes behind Nuvolari, indicating that he is 1 3/4 of a lap down on his teammates. So, yeah. Soffietti in the private alpha was about a minute behind Pintacuda, so that suggests he was 2 laps behind. As we come to the end of the race, Piero Duccio has not been mentioned at all since the grid order. He passed Cornaglia Medici for 6th place. And that's the last exciting thing to talk about. And now, we've come to the end of the race with Nuvolari, the most popular current Italian driver, is the winner of the first Bergamo Grand Prix by 2 minutes over Farina. This is an actual painting of that race. It's really nice to see that. Just to show why Nuvolari is called the Flying Mantuan, is because he was so fast compared to other Italians that very little others, if none, could keep up with him by the end of the race. This picture here this is for another day. So, here we are with the finishing order of this minor Italian Grand Prix here in Bergamo. Tazio Nuvolari was in first, and Giuseppe Farina, his apprentice, was the only one who could keep up. Just 2 minutes, was 2 minutes behind. That's why he was the Flying Mantuan. Alright, my battery's getting low, so I should finish this quickly. Pintacuda in third. Soffietti fourth, 3 laps down. Camotti fifth, 3 laps down. Duccio sixth, 4 laps down. And the winner of the Maserati fight was Barbieri. Medici, 7th, 10 laps behind. Wow, that was weird. Barbieri had a crash. Emilia Romano's Bugatti, 14 laps behind, 9th. Siena, 10th. Engine fail, DNF. Minozzi, DNF, had a half-shaft problem. Or, as I told you, lost an axle. And Clerici, 12th. In his Maserati, Clerici did not finish, had an oil pipe problem. Thanks for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, leave a comment, press the like button, or subscribe. I'll see you next week for one of the biggest Grand Prix races in 1935. The Obus race, which is going to be an introduction to the Silver Arrows.